Hello guys. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. So let me just copy the link. Then we can do it. We can do it. Once you know. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So hello guys. Good morning. Uh, it's a new week. July 2026. I mean from yesterday. Yesterday was it? 20th to 24th. So that's the trading week. 20th to 24th. And yeah, let's get into it. So I will start with gold. So this particular video is for gold, DXY, and silver. Then I'll do a separate one for what do we call it for the other one for silver. No, for Nasdaq and S&P 500. I do it in a separate video. So let's get this started. Let's get this started. Okay. So looking at what price has been doing since yesterday. Like I said, I wasn't trading yesterday. I just wanted to get a feel of the new week and see what. Then I just wanted to see what the market wants to do. Okay, so yes, I really didn't feel like I needed to trade yesterday because I only trade on Mondays when I have a pending setup on Friday, and I did not have a pending setup. As you remember, we bought from somewhere here, and we got off at around 14.16, 14.15. So that was already around 500 pips. So I wasn't interested in Monday. Okay. I did not have any pending setup. Okay. So looking at the daily chart, or maybe we can start with the weekly chart because it's at the beginning of the week. It's the beginning of the week. So looking at uh, the weekly chart, what I noticed is that we have been reacting from the weekly order block. As you can see, price has been reacting from the weekly order block ever since 8th of June 2026. So that's almost a month of reacting from this, a month and a half of reacting from this order block, right? So this is a weekly order block. We had a retracement and then that displacement to the upside. So on the weekly chart, we have been reacting from the order block that gave us this whole move. Okay, so that is a very important level, and you'll notice that price has been respecting uh, 50% of that. So that being said, we know that we are reacting from that level and we are bound to get a reaction. So the next question that I usually ask myself is where can price go to next if we are reacting from such a level? So we always look for liquidity, and liquidity maybe in form of previous week lows, and you can also look for imbalances. So when I look at this piece of transaction, I cannot see any major imbalance apart from this new week opening up that we reacted from last week. Okay, so that could be an area where price could react from, and then after that maybe we can say that this is buy side liquidity. Okay, because we have this swing with some sort of swing high, which we can see it better maybe on the daily chart. Okay, you can see this. So this one and then this inverted, somehow inverted move opening up could be an area of reaction. So if we can mark that out, then we would say that maybe this week we can target 4200 as our buy side liquidity, probably. And then we can also target midpoint of this gap that was already reacted from. Okay, before maybe price decides to break down or maybe continue to the upside. These levels, how price reacts to these levels will tell us if it wants to continue to the upside. So for example, if price closes above it, it means that price has bottom structure here. So it means that price will continue to the upside. If we only weak into those areas and candle bodies refuse to close above this level, then price will continue to down to the downside. So that being said, now I can continue to go to the lower time range and look for today's entry or even tomorrow's entry because like I told you before, my analysis basically plays out within 2 days or 1 day. So basically this analysis, if it doesn't play out today, it will play out tomorrow. If we don't get an entry thing that I noticed on the weekly between gold and silver is that we do have a few of these lows on silver and the lows were not just on gold. So that is yet another sign to tell me that maybe we are going to pump to the upside before we get that continuation to the downside, which maybe imminent. Okay. So when I do that, I will mark this as my SMC. I will be using this as my SMC on a higher loading form on one of the assets. So on silver, you notice that uh, we did push that to the downside and we got that. So on the weekly, there is no much to see because we have not yet started the order block. So that's why I'm saying we need to react from something and then continue to the downside where we will see what we get. But for now, I want to see that move to the upside, maybe for a few days this week, and then maybe we can continue to drop to the downside. So that being said, I have marked my daily S&P that is very strong. Okay, there we go. I now go to the 4 hour time frame and look for something where price can. So looking at what yesterday and today have done, we can see that we are generally in a bullish trend. Okay, so I do not try to predict tops and bottoms. Like I have said, I want to see maybe this buy side liquidity being swept before we continue to the downside. So let's go back to gold, which we majorly trade, and then I will notice that on the 4 hour chart we have been on an uptrend ever since Friday. Okay, and you notice that we had this new week opening up yesterday. Yesterday basically, because we have that new week opening up, which is even clearer on a 1 hour on a 1 hour time frame. So I will mark it on the 1 hour chart, and you can see how price has been reacting to the new week opening up. And I sent a summary of last week's new week opening up and how price reacted to it, and we saw how these levels were being respected. So this is another example of that. You can see that price opened with a new week opening up. We went to the downside. We retested this order block from Friday 8 a.m. the 1 hour order block. After retesting that, price went back to the upside, completely closed up that new week opening up, and yesterday price was just playing inside that. We were coming back inside, leaving that new week opening up, coming back inside, leaving that new week opening up, and then finally we got this break of structure which happened during the Asian session. Okay, so today's Asian session has given us this move. Okay, we have broken structure here. That is very clear. We have broken structure. This is a clear broken structure right here. So once we have this break of structure, I would like to catch the continuation of this move because as I have marked on the higher time frame, my buy side liquidity and next imbalance is at 4200 and 4250 respectively. So that is where I want to see price going. I want to get a retracement to either, uh, like I told you, price retraces to be within rebalance and imbalance or sweep liquidity, or maybe retest an order block which will maybe rebalance and imbalance. Okay. So when I look at this piece of price action, the only imbalance that I see is this 1 hour fair value gap. Okay. So I will mark that out. We have that 1 hour fair value gap. And you know that I mark the fair value gap to be correct so that I don't get confused between the new week opening gap and the other one, the 4 hour fair value gap and 1 hour fair value gap. So what other thing do we see in this transaction? We have this order block. Okay. So we do have this order block right here, and we have a very big week. So this is my order block, and I think it's also visible on the 4 hour chart. So another thing that I need to ask myself is if we got this displacement to the upside this huge range, it means that we have an equilibrium of this range. So I want to measure this displacement. Where is the low? This is the low that gave us. Okay, this is the low that gave us this uh, surge to the upside. So I will mark that high, that low, and that high. So that is the current range that we are seeing. And I would like to see price coming below the 50% of that before we continue to the upside. If I want to catch a good continuation, we want to buy below the distance. So didn't leave it open, but most likely we are going to disrespect it. So I will just delete it and use this order block. Okay. So this order block is where I want to see price reacting from. So because it has a huge wick to the upside, I will use that wick to observe how price reacts to it, and I can even go to the lower time frames to look at it even better. And you can see when I go to the 30 minutes, I find a very good order block where price could react from, and it makes it even a high probability order block because we have a fair value gap just above it. Okay, so that is a high probability order block. And another thing is that it's below 50% of the range that we have covered from Asia session. Okay, so as you can see, this move started way earlier. Okay, so that being said, I can also keep at silver to see if we had what. Yes, I was thinking we had this SMT here. So these are double SMT. We had this one for the first one, and then we had it again here. So you can see that on silver, price was able to see uh, the previous session low. Yes, the previous session low. It was able to see London low and New York low right here. So that was a very clean liquidity hit. This right here. So you always want to look at what the previous sessions have done, especially on correlated assets. So as you can see, you are not able to see any of the previous lows apart from New York swept the London low yesterday, but Asia did not see the New York low. So that becomes another S&P. So that's a double S&P, which also reinforces my idea that today will be a bullish day, and I want to catch that continuation move unless something changes on the higher time frame. So this is an S&P between Asian low and New York low. So we already have that. So I do not want to see price today going below that 998. If it does that, then I have totally invalidated my bias for today. So that being said, this is my order block. I want to see price reacting from there, from this level. I have marked the week because it has a very long week to the upside. I have marked the week, so I will go to the 15 minutes, 5 minutes and wait for price to react to this level because we broke structure there. So it's a very important level. We broke structure left. We broke structure there. We have an order block there. We have so many things to target from that level. So let's mark that maybe properly. Okay, you can keep it there. You can keep it there. Yeah, you can do that. You can mark it in that. So this is our level of this is my point of interest today. I want to see how price reacts to that level. So I want to probably see something like this, deep into that, break this structure here that we will have formed here, and then maybe test, and then go to the upside. So yeah, because you can see we will form an intermediate. So this is will be something that we will form as we go to the downside. We will break that in the New York still zone and open, and then continue to the upside. So yeah, that's basically what I'm looking at on gold. And yeah, so those are the levels I'm looking at. Let's see how it goes. I'll just leave an arrow here to show me what I want to see. Yeah, let's keep it on the 1 hour, keep our eyes on the higher time frame. I like this in black. So yes, that is what I'm looking at today, and I hope it plays out. I see that we have a fair value gap here, a 1 hour fair value gap. I had not noticed that, but I think it's too low. I think we don't have to go to that level. But if we have to, then it will even be a better area to buy from, between 40.10 and 40.12. So yeah, we do have this order block, and if price could be interested in going to that area below that, then it will have swept this area of liquidity, which I don't think is very important to do. But let's see how price decides to do its own thing. So I can also have that marked out or just have that level in mind. because it's also a key level. So grant and do. Yeah, so order block is just a line. The envelope will delete it. You already know what's happening there. So yeah, let's see how price reacts to these two levels. This order block, this one has central gap, and then we have another lower order block. So this one becomes a continuation order block, and according to ICT terminology, this is what we call a propulsion block. So this is the original order block with the fair value gap above it. So we can also mark that and use that as a level OB. Then this becomes a PB, the propulsion block. PB, yeah. So yeah. Basically, that's what I'm looking at. And a quick look at DXY. Uh, Looking at DXY, the daily chart. I'm still bearish on DXY. Like I said last week, uh, we got this breakout structure here, and we detected this propulsion block. Okay, maybe order block, okay. Whatever you want to call it. It's an order block, a propulsion block, whatever. So we broke structure there, and we detected this fair value gap that was lying just below that. Okay. So as you can see, that happened. I was explaining this last week, and then we broke structure between these flows. So that becomes a very key signature in price, and it means that price is looking for something to the downside. And I told you that when I'm looking at things at the downside or where price is targeting, I look at imbalances and order blocks. So in this piece of price action, what I see is this fair value gap and this order block. Okay, so price should not react bullishly before it reaches this area. So this is just a small displacement like the one we had here, and then we get a huge displacement. A retracement, a huge displacement. A retracement, now I want to see a huge displacement, and then I will accept a bullish move from this level, 100.004 and 99.638. Maybe not specifically those prices that I have mentioned, but on those levels. So let's see how price reacts to these two order blocks, and then yeah. So if that is the case on DXY, then I want to see maybe DXY seeking some liquidity because I don't think we have got any liquidity from yesterday. We only broke structure here, so I would like us to see this previous day high, which are maybe in form of some relative equal highs here. So yeah, I would like us to see this previous these relative equal highs. Let's see that, and then we can dump massively to the downside. Because as you can see, we have been discussing and then we get this small consolidation. So I would like to see a manipulation to the aspect of accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Then we can come attack this loss, and continue to dump throughout the week. So I do expect something like a high of the week coming today or tomorrow. Remember, in most weeks, the high of the week comes Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, so here I want to see something like what this basically. On the 4 hour, I think I have another block. It could request this other block, so I will also mark that out. So I just look at other blocks, imbalances, in fact, OB, negative, bearish because it's bearish, negative, OB. Yeah, so that's what I want to see on DXY, which means I want to see the opposite on gold because, yeah, we have unfinished business at the bottom. So I would like to see this high hold probably, but if you see it, then no problem because as much as I try to draw things on the chart, I also like to just observe what price wants to do and then I react to that. But you should have a buyer in mind before you get into the chart. Before you get into the sessions and trading. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. We also have this small propulsion block here, so price could react from that, and then yeah. So basically, that's what I'm looking at on gold and silver. I'll start the continuation of this if DXY will align. Of course, if price keeps on doubting and vision keeps on pumping to the upside, I will not take the buy on gold. So I'll only take the buy if it aligns with what I want to see. And if the buyers hit midday somewhere, I will just adapt to it and take the trade that will give it. So stay tuned in my Telegram channel. I will share the progress of the day. Then yeah, if you want for Nasdaq, you can look at what the next video. So I will be doing another separate video right now. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we are done here.